welcome back to my channel. She won't tell you she's hurting. She won't text at 2 a.m. saying she misses your silence, and she definitely won't admit that losing you, the man who never begged, never broke, never folded, is slowly breaking her. She'll take a different path. She'll wear something new. Post a laugh that feels louder than usual. Maybe even walk a little taller, just enough for you to notice if you're still watching. But you're not. And that's the part she didn't expect. See, women expect chaos after they leave. They expect a reaction. They expect you to chase, apologize, send one last message just to prove you cared. But when you don't, when your world stays intact, your voice stays calm, and your silence feels intentional, something starts to unravel inside her. That's what this video is about. Not the pain she posts about, not the fake "I'm thriving" stories, but the hidden pain, the kind that doesn't cry. It hides. It slips through in patterns. It shows up when she thinks no one's watching. And only the man who's detached, who's healed, grounded, and done chasing, can see it for what it really is. These aren't guesses. These are psychological markers of unresolved emotion. The 6 hidden signs that she's still in pain, not because she left you, but because she now realizes she can't come back. You were the anchor, the calm, the one who didn't flinch when she tried to stir the storm. And now she's left with a story she can't rewrite, and a man she can't reach. So she plays it cool. She overcompensates. She gets louder, brighter, more visible. But inside, the echo of what you represented grows louder. You're not haunting her because you disappeared. You're haunting her because your absence feels more stable than any man she's met since. And that's what hurts. So if you're ready to see what pain looks like when it's buried in silence, and if you've lived long enough to feel it without needing to fix it, drop a comment below that says, "She hides the pain. I've already healed." Let's begin. 1. She pretends she's moved on too fast. When a woman loses a man who stayed silent, not cold, not cruel, but emotionally still, her first instinct isn't reflection, it's performance. She wants to be seen. Not by you directly, but by the version of you she thinks might still be watching. So she moves fast, maybe too fast. A new outfit. A photo with a new guy. A caption that feels a little too rehearsed. On to better things. Finally free, me season. It all looks effortless. But you've seen effortless before. And this isn't it. It's not confidence, it's cover. Because deep down, she's not over you. She's overwhelmed by the silence you left behind. She thought your world would pause when she walked away. But when it didn't, when your routine stayed locked in, when your focus didn't shake, your presence didn't crack, she realized something uncomfortable. You weren't waiting for her. You were already building without her. So instead of sitting in that truth, she rushes to win the breakup. Fast rebounds. Overactive social media. Loud nights out with empty energy. You don't hear her say it, but the message is clear. Look at me, I'm good. But here's the thing, real peace doesn't try to prove itself. When a woman's actually healed, her energy softens. Not this. What you're seeing is frantic, staged, a race against a memory that keeps showing up in quiet moments, especially when the music stops and the lights go down. That's when she feels it, the weight of what she lost. Not a man who begged, not someone she could predict, but a man who walked away like peace wasn't something she could offer anymore. So she speeds up, because if she slows down, she'll feel it, and that's the pain she's not ready to admit yet. So if you see her glowing, thriving, and doing better than ever, just a little too soon. Know this: real healing takes time. Performances end when the crowd stops clapping, and eventually, she won't be able to keep up the act. Let's move on, because the next sign doesn't happen on stage. It happens quietly, where her attention still follows you in silence. Number 2, she stalks you subtly, but acts indifferent. She may never text you, she might not like your posts, and she'll make sure you don't see her watching. But trust this: if you left an emotional fingerprint on her, she's still tracking your presence. Not because she wants to come back, but because she can't stop comparing where she is to where you are now without her. This is how obsession hides itself, not in constant contact, but in quiet surveillance. She'll check your stories from a burner. She'll ask mutual friends how you're doing without ever saying your name. She'll scroll through your feed when she's alone, just to look at the face she can no longer influence. And every time she sees you post something with peace, progress, purpose, she feels a pang. Because women don't stalk men who collapse. They don't obsess over men who beg. They follow the ones who stayed composed and disappeared without falling apart. Here's the catch: she'll never let you know she's watching. Her pride won't allow it. In public, she'll act like you no longer exist. But in her mind, you're still part of the internal dialogue. Why is he so calm? Does he miss me? How is he not affected? That's what keeps her stuck. She's not checking on you because she wants closure. She's checking because your silence didn't make sense to her. And that confusion, that unspoken tension, it turns into fixation. You became unreadable. Not because you're trying to be cold, but because you stopped giving her a mirror to see herself through. And that's why she keeps watching. Because in the past, she could read your emotions. Now, she's guessing. And the feminine mind hates emotional ambiguity. She'll lie to herself. Tell her friends she doesn't care. But at 11:47 p.m., when she's checking your profile with the brightness turned down, that's the version of her that tells the truth. So if you ever feel like you're being watched, but no one's saying anything, it's probably not in your head. It's just in hers. Let's move to the next one. Because when silence doesn't work, she'll try something more calculated, not to reconnect, but to provoke. Number 3, she tries to get a reaction from you indirectly when silence doesn't break you. She changes the strategy. Not with a message, not with an apology, but with subtle traps, the kind designed to trigger curiosity, jealousy, or reaction. This isn't about reconciliation. It's about emotional disruption. Because if she can get you to flinch, even once, it means you're still in the emotional ring. So she posts a photo with a guy. Maybe it's her friend. Maybe it's more. But the caption isn't for him. It's for you. Something like, finally being treated right, or peace hits different. Vague enough to be indirect, sharp enough to hit your pride if you're not grounded. Or maybe she suddenly views your story after weeks of silence. Just once. Just enough to make you think, why now? That's the point. She doesn't want you back. Not yet. She wants to test the waters. See if you'll reach out. See if she still lives in your chest. But you know better now. Because attention-seeking behavior doesn't come from power. It comes from emotional instability. A woman at peace doesn't need to provoke, but a woman in pain will start throwing rocks in the dark just to hear a reaction. She might DM your friend. She might suddenly show up at a place you're known to frequent, Just a coincidence. She might even post a quote about closure or wasted effort, hoping it lands in your feed. But you don't move, because you're not reacting, you're observing. And once you start seeing patterns instead of taking things personally, you reclaim full control of your energy. And that's what drives her deeper into confusion. Because now, she's not just hurting. She's confused about why her tactics don't work anymore. And confusion turns into reflection. Reflection turns into regret. Regret turns into pain. All because you didn't give her what most men do, a reaction that says, you still matter. But she no longer controls that narrative. You do. And the less you respond, the more she realizes just how loud your absence has become. Let's move forward. Because eventually, she stops trying to trigger you directly and starts doing something even more revealing. She starts mentioning you when she thinks no one's listening. Number 4. She mentions you randomly in conversations. She said she was done. She told everyone she's over it. Moved on, leveled up, new life. But then, it slips. Not a love confession, not a breakdown, just one sentence. He used to. That reminds me of when a story where your name accidentally comes up. It's not rehearsed. It's not part of the narrative she built to look healed. It just leaks. And that's how you know. You're still living rent-free in her emotional memory. When women are truly over a man, he fades from the language. He stops showing up in her metaphors, her comparisons, her examples. But when you meant more than she allowed herself to feel, your presence lingers in her subconscious. It shows up when she's laughing, when a song comes on, when someone does something that reminds her of your strength, your stillness, your way of handling chaos. She doesn't always realize she's doing it, but her friends do. The people close to her, they hear the pattern, and some of them won't say it, but they know what it means. She's not done talking about you because she's not done feeling you. And deep down, she knows that too, because for all her talk of moving on, she's still bringing you up in places where your name shouldn't belong anymore. Sometimes it's admiration, sometimes it's bitterness, sometimes it's neutral. But regardless of tone, the mention means memory, and memory is proof of emotional residue. Don't get confused. She may never tell you she misses you, but the tongue always betrays what the heart won't say, especially when she thought she could move on without looking back. And now she's realizing the parts of you she can't replace are the ones she only sees now that you're no longer there to remind her. These aren't accidents. They're echoes. And the deeper the echo, the louder your absence becomes. Let's keep going, because when talking about you doesn't help her feel stronger, she starts doing something dangerous to her pride. She tries to downplay your impact. Number 5, she downplays your impact to others when you really left a mark on her, and she can't process the weight of it. She won't talk about how much you meant. She'll talk like you never really mattered. It was just a phase. He wasn't even my type. Honestly, I don't know what I was thinking. That's not indifference. That's emotional protection. See, to admit you were important means admitting she lost something rare, and that means acknowledging the mistake. So instead, she rewrites the script. She tells people you weren't that deep, that she saw it coming, that it wasn't a big deal. But here's what she doesn't realize. The more she tries to downplay you, the more obvious it becomes that she's still reacting to your memory. Because when someone doesn't matter, they don't get explanations, they don't get retellings, But you still come up, and she still needs to frame what you meant, just carefully enough to protect her pride. It's not about you being perfect. It's about her not knowing how to sit with the discomfort of having underestimated a man who didn't need to prove his value. You walked away with calm, with control, with no need to scream your worth into the void. That silence, that's what stings. So when people ask about you, she throws shade, makes jokes, brushes it off, because admitting the truth feels too vulnerable. It would mean saying, I pushed away a man who actually knew how to lead me. I lost someone who brought peace instead of chaos. I fumbled something real because I couldn't sit still long enough to recognize it. And that level of honesty? It requires healing she hasn't earned yet. So, instead of truth, she settles for performance. But it's not sustainable. Because the more she minimizes you to others, the more she magnifies you in her own mind. And that internal conflict, it doesn't go away. Because pain suppressed becomes obsession expressed. In silence, in curiosity, in comparison. Let's finish strong. Because the last sign is the loudest, even though she's doing her best to make it look like she's glowing. Her pain is dressed like confidence. Number 6. She glows up, but it feels performed. You see her. She's out more. Her hair's different. Her style's bolder. There's makeup, heels, and filters where comfort and softness used to live. And on the surface, it looks like she's thriving. But you've seen what real healing looks like. And this isn't it. Because real growth is quiet. But this feels like a performance. A highlight reel built to hide the scenes that didn't go as planned. When a woman can't have you back. And she knows she lost something stable, powerful, grounded. She doesn't just feel regret. She feels a void. And instead of sitting with that emptiness, she covers it. With beauty, with attention, with curated moments designed to scream, look what you're missing. But the irony is, the louder the glow up, the more it usually hides the breakdown. You'll see it in the timing. One day, she's silent. The next, she's fire. Like someone trying to reclaim power overnight. But true power doesn't spike. It stabilizes. So if everything feels just a little too polished, if her captions start sounding like affirmations written for an audience, if the smiles look wider but the eyes tell a different story, you already know. This isn't about you anymore. This is about her trying to feel wanted again, in a world that doesn't give her the security you did. And the truth is, you were the last man who didn't need the performance. You liked her before the glow-up. You saw behind the mask. And losing that kind of connection hurts in a way she can't admit. So she'll hide in plain sight. Until one day, the act gets too heavy. The attention fades. And she's left staring at a reflection she doesn't recognize. Not because she changed, but because she never processed what broke her in the first place. You weren't the heartbreak. You were the lesson she couldn't replace. And now, every mirror reminds her of the man who saw her fully and walked away quietly. Let's close this properly. She won't say it. She won't text you a long paragraph or show up at your door with tears in her eyes. That's not how her pain shows up. Not when she knows she can't have you back. No, her pain wears a disguise. It shows up in laughter that sounds too loud, in captions that try too hard, in new faces that feel like placeholders, not partners. She's trying to outrun a memory, your memory. And what haunts her isn't just the man you were. It's the man you've become after she left, the one who didn't need closure, the one who didn't try to fix anything, the one who leveled up without making noise. And now she watches, from the outside, piecing together fragments of a story she no longer has access to. That's what truly hurts. Not that she lost you, but that she lost the version of herself that felt safe with you. She tells the world she's fine, but pain has a way of echoing, and deep down, she knows she gave up something rare. A man who didn't flinch, who didn't chase, who didn't need her validation to stay whole. So now, she hides it. But every scroll through your feed, every night, she compares someone new to someone solid. That's the truth catching up to her. If you're living this right now, if you see these signs not as revenge, but as reminders that your silence had impact, drop a comment below. Peace hurts louder than words. And remember, some men scream when they're broken. Others go silent and become unforgettable.